Lay down the soul where once the world long as flowers on velvet sea.
That I can talk about. Okay. Yeah. We don't really have a lot of really good your overtime and put them overtime. Oh, do you have overtime? I have no idea what time. Like yours? As much as yours? So I could go and use my voucher for
Yeah, making some ice cream for the kiddies.
And how long does it take to make that?
Could be 25 minutes, could be an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
Depends on the cycle of the cows.
Oh, okay. Does the temperature have much to do with it?
Yeah, the outside temperature, but more so on the cycle of the animals, how quick it turns.
Oh, I see. Your wife is usually helping with this today.
Yeah, she decided to take her day in her garden.
Good for her. On today?
We don't use four-letter words if we can help it around here, like work.
Work.
Stuff like that.
Okay. Are you going to greet Sir John?
I am supposed to go over there shortly, and my wife and I to greet Sir John and Lady Agnes when they arrive.
Yes.
I'm usually not dressed up quite like this, just to look after the carriage.
Okay.
We're quite looking forward to having them with us.
Yes.
And hearing his Confederation speech.
Now, how old would Sir John A. have been when he made the document?
I am not sure. I have not, I must confess, I haven't followed his history. I know that Lady Agnes was his second wife. His first wife died. His second wife while he was in England, perhaps greeting the Queen, or being greeted by the Queen. But they had a dream, and one way or another, they made it come true. We're still fighting over that.
I understand that Sir John A. Stayed at Downton Abbey. And
Is that right?
And Lord Cranston wined and dined him and helped him make the agreement.
There you go. I know that he stayed at Moffat Manor last evening in MADOC.
Yes. Well, that's nice. Yes.
And they're supposed to be arriving here in he should be here in about 5 minutes or
a great feat for such a great country. But special today to Heritage Day, O'Hara Volunteer Association, and the Hastings Historical Society. We're welcome to present to you, or excited to present to you, Sir John A. Macdonald and Lady Agnes. He is on the property as we speak, or as I speak to you. He'll be coming from the east with a horse-drawn carriage or a horse-drawn wagon, centuries. You hear a bagpiper in a few minutes and a drummer. When you start hearing our town crier calling you from the west, bagpipes from the visitor center and our drummers from the east, he'll be coming along this road. And he'll be here to talk to you this afternoon about Canada, the new country, Canada Confederation. And this gentleman is, let me say to you, Sir John A. Macdonald. When you see him, you'll be quite excited. So get a nice, comfortable seat, give us about 10 minutes, and look forward to a nice presentation here. Thanks.
put the camera. We're going to go through here. We'll take you down to our amphitheater stage, and I understand we're going to go with us.
Where are we taking? I think it's through the historical society. This is our local microphone.
To our farm, and we're going to call on Mr. Hughes from the Hastings Historical Society for a few words and to introduce Sir John and Lady Agnes to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. O'Hara, visiting your wonderful property here. And thank you all for coming out. On behalf of the O'Hara Mill Volunteers Association, on behalf of the Hastings County Historical Association Society, and of course on behalf of Quiddy Conservation. This is a beautiful day. The weather is perfect, and then you're wearing warm clothing.
Cat here. No. Mike's off.
Is that any better?
No. Mike might be off. Nope. Look at it, I might help. Got a short and a long wire. Jack, pull the top. Nope.
Okay, how are you? Hey! Okay, we're live. As I say, technology is wonderful, but in 1867 it wasn't a big factor. You just needed a big voice. Anyway, so as we're sitting here today under these beautiful pine trees, I'd invite you just to let your mind go back. Let your mind go back Hello, hello, yes, here we go, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Fred, don't you move, you just stay there all the time. Hello.
You have to use your outside voice.
I hope you can hear me. If those who are hard of hearing, come to the front. But basically, today we'd like you to let your minds go back to 1867. Here we are in the forest, in the woods. It probably wasn't that much different from this in 1867. And in July of 1867, this new country of ours was born. And I think all of us are 100% in agreement that it was a magnificent birth of this country. It all began about 3 years earlier when John MacDonald, then, who wasn't a Sir, John MacDonald invited himself to a meeting being held in Charlottetown, 1864. The maritime provinces were very nervous because at this time the American Civil War was on. And they had a fear that after the American Civil War, what if those soldiers came north? We'd be in big trouble. So the Maritime Province was called a meeting in Charlottetown. They didn't invite people from here, but John McDonnell invited himself. And they went to Charlottetown and they discussed coming together, and it worked very well. And 4 months later, they gathered again in Quebec City, and they put together an entire package of what they thought this country should look like. And actually, that package was the same as the one you have today. So they took this package off to London. They met the Queen. Queen Victoria was 48 years old at the time. She was a widow. She had 9 children. And they met with her and she gave her blessing. And then the British Parliament negotiated it and put it through, and they created what they call the British North America Act in about February of 1867. And that is basically our Constitution. It was done in about 6 months. And there's a little sideline I would add to this, a little sideline. John McDonnell, when he went to London, was a widower. His first wife had passed away. She wasn't never healthy. So he went there as a widower. And there he met a lady called Aggie. And he courted her in London. I don't know when he got the time, but he courted her in London and married her in London. They came back as husband and wife, as you have here. And that was one of the sidelines, so we know what he was up to in London. So anyways, John McDonnell came back. He was knighted on July 1st, 1867. He became Sir John A. McDonnell, and the government was formed. 4 provinces only, 4 provinces at the time: New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Canada West, and Canada East. Became Ontario and Quebec. So we began with only 4 provinces. The rest came later. And that was one of the things that John McDonnell did, was to lead the development of our country. So with that little bit of background, I'm going to ask Sir John A. McDonnell to come to speak to you today about what he has done in creating this wonderful country.
That's very true. It wasn't all politics when we were in London. And we did have 3 days of a honeymoon up in Oxford. Well, I came back to Canada. Well, I came back with a new country and a new wife. So, good afternoon. I'm John A. It's good to see you here. Now, it's a pleasure for Lady MacDonald and me to be back here in Hastings North, so ably represented since Confederation by the Honourable Mackenzie Mole, Minister of Customs in my administration for these past 9 years. Now, Mac is a hard-working, conscientious, and scrupulous administrator of his portfolio, and I am pleased that he's able to be with us today. But just let me add that his newspaper, the Belleville Intelligencer, is one you can trust for the unvarnished truth. Beware of the Toronto Globe. Yes. And Gordon Brown, the editor there, every time I take a drink, I read about it in the Toronto Globe. Now, as you know, the year of 1887, this year of 1887, we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Dominion of Canada and the golden jubilee of our sovereign lady, Queen Victoria, she who reigns in the hearts and affections of all her subjects. And long may she reign over us. Now, my wife and I also had an anniversary of our own. Now, back in 1867, as was mentioned, I was not content with effecting just a political confederation, but I made the wise decision. To also form a domestic confederation. And on February the 16th, we celebrated 20 years of marriage. 20 years under the sovereignty of my own female monarch. Long may she reign. Mr. Edison has done a fine job in inventing some of this equipment. I'm not used to using these things. It beats a megaphone, I'll tell you. Well, let's try this. Is that working out there? Yeah. All right. Well, I can reflect back now over 2 decades to that summer and fall of 1864. when the scheme for confederation of all of British North America was launched. Now at that time, the question of colonial union was of such magnitude that it dwarfed every other question on this portion of the continent. Our Constitution was deadlocked, and a grander, wider vision was needed. We found ourselves on fortune's crowning slope, and we knew that we must not let this opportunity pass. It was an opportunity that may never recur, and if we did not take advantage of the time, if we showed ourselves unequal to the occasion, it may never return, and we should hereafter bitterly and unavailingly regret having failed to embrace the happy opportunity offered of founding a great nation under the fostering care of Great Britain and our sovereign lady, Queen Victoria. So we had to determine the future of Canada, whether it would be a limited constitutional monarchy or a Yankee democracy. British North America must belong either to the American or the British system of government. As my late lamented friend and colleague Sir George Cartier put it, the question is reduced to this: we must either have a British North American Federation or else be absorbed into the American Federation. And we know that you would not want that to have happened. So this led to two successful conferences at Charlottetown in September, Quebec City in October of 1864, where over 2.5 weeks we worked out the terms of confederation. Now it rained the whole time. They had a snowstorm in early October, so that kept us well indoors. And a new constitution, the British North America Act, with its 72 resolutions, was drafted to settle many of the vexed questions which had retarded the prosperity of the colonies as a whole. Then we proceeded on to the London Conference in December '66, and the final steps in this eventful journey of the formation of the Dominion of Canada. And with great pride, I returned home to Canada in April of 1867 with an act uniting the 4 provinces of British North America in my pocket and a new wife on my arm. Now in those days, we had trouble in trade with our southern neighbor. Some things never change. In 1866, the Americans had seen fit to terminate the Reciprocity Treaty of 1854. Now, Mr. J.R. Potter, the American Consul General in Montreal, said this entire problem of trade could be resolved by the United States annexing Canada. Yes. Strong support behind me anyway. In March of 1867, the New York Times wrote, and I quote, that when the experiment of the Dominion shall have failed, as fail it must, a process of peaceful absorption will give Canada her proper place in the North American Republic. All I can say is some experiment, some failure. Here we are 20 years down the road. When framing our new Constitution, the British North America Act, care was taken to avoid the mistakes and weaknesses of the United States system. Their primary error was reserving to the different states all the powers not delegated to the general government. We knew we had to reverse this process. A strong central government is indispensable to the success of the experiment that we are trying. We look up to England and to English traditions for our guidance. We have everything to lose in being severed from England. We have everything to gain by the benign influence of Her Majesty's government. A free queen over a free people.
You're right.
Under the broad folds of the Union Jack, we enjoy the most ample liberty to govern ourselves as we please. But at the same time, we participate in the advantages that flow from association with the mightiest empire the world has ever seen. Behind us towers the majesty of England. Now in these two decades since Confederation, our accomplishments have been many. Our population now approaches 5 million. in 7 provinces. Our cities are growing with wonderful rapidity. The stream of immigration from Great Britain and from Europe is steadily and rapidly increasing, and the peaceful absorption of thousands of new immigrants continues to open the West. We can take pride in the role of the Northwest Mounted Police in the opening of the West, expanding Canadian law and authority across vast new territory. Now, our national policy, the NP, has been a success. Some years ago, we said to the Americans, we are perfectly willing to trade with you on equal terms. We are desirous of having a fair reciprocity treaty, but we will not consent to open our markets to you while yours remain closed to us. So we inaugurated the national policy. You all know what followed. Almost as if by magic, the whole face of the country underwent a change. Stagnation, apathy, and gloom gave place to activity and enterprise and prosperity. Now, those who wanted to get protected by the tariffs wanted all the protection they could get. They were like the old-timer who said about whiskey, just a little too much is just enough. Now, on the other side of the house, Mr. Alexander Mackenzie, Mr. Edward Blake, Mr. Wilfrid Laurier, leader of the opposition, they have been talking about unrestricted reciprocity or free trade with our southern neighbor. While that whole grit orchestra seem unable to play the same tune. Mr. Laurier and Mr. Mackenzie are playing one tune. Mr. Blake, himself a wind instrument, plays another about unrestricted reciprocity or free trade. Now, thanks to the national policy, the NP, Kingston is growing larger, Belleville is growing larger. Am I right, Mr. Horton? Thornton is growing larger. The population has increased. You are all richer. You have better looking hats, better looking coats. Yes, my friend, the boot is on the other leg. Long may it remain there. So we shall continue to strengthen the national policy, for we must have Canada for the Canadians, and not allow Canada to become the Arctic fringe on the American blanket. Yes. Yes.
Do it! Do it!
I've got to get the vote for women. I've got to get And I have no doubt from the enthusiastic voices I hear around me that the people will stand by the national policy. But we also undertook that stupendous work, the Canadian Pacific Railway. In the whole annals of railway construction, there has been nothing to equal it. This great work is the triumph of the age. We have tied the oceans together with bands of steel. Now, I admit, I used to state, I never expected to live long enough to see that road completed, but that when my friends would be crossing the continent upon it, I would be looking down upon them from the serene heights of heaven above. Now, my opponents said I would be looking up from the pit beneath. But in reality, to the surprise of both, I took a horizontal view. And I myself experienced the proud satisfaction of looking back from the steps of my car upon the Rocky Mountains fringing the eastern sky. Last summer, on our trip to the Pacific, Lady MacDonald stubbornly insisted on riding on the front of the engine above the cowcatcher all through the Rocky Mountains. Told her it was dangerous. She ignored me. Well, as I recall, she said at the time, "This is quite lovely. I shall travel on this cowcatcher from summit to sea." It's only 600 miles. Now, she wrote about her experiences for Murray's magazine from London. Some of you may have seen her article entitled "By Car and by Cowcatcher." I highly recommend it for your reading pleasure. So I feel great pride in occupying the position that has been awarded me by the people of this country. And during my long public service of nearly half a century, I have been true to my country and its best interests. And I have fought for the preservation of our commercial and political freedom. But I am determined that we shall go on, as we have been going on since 1867, as one people, with one object, looking to the future, and expecting to lay the foundation of one great country. One people, great in territory, great in resources, great in enterprise. It is a great satisfaction to me to think that when I leave Parliament, I leave knowing that we have left a firm foundation of British parliamentary system of government based on the rule of law. We have built a nation governed by a spirit of compromise and, as much as possible, kindly feelings towards each other. Now, after having attained our third straight majority in February this year, I explained to the Honourable General, Mr. Laurier, why the country always gives us their confidence. And I told him that under the dome of St. Paul's Cathedral in London, there is a celebrated epitaph to Sir Christopher Wren. Most of you speak Latin, I understand. Si monumentum requiris circumspica. If you seek for a monument, look around you. Well, I say the same thing in a humble spirit. Look around at the prosperity of the country. Look at the undiminished confidence which the people have in us, and from one end of the country to the other. That is our best monument. And I expect, by and by, to see something of that kind inscribed on my tombstone. Now, the honourable member from Brent, Mr. Patterson, asked, will I see my own tombstone? And if so, would I be looking up? Well, I assured him I will be looking down on my tombstone, and I will be looking down on a majority government which I shall leave in such a good spirit they will carry on the traditions that have guided them since 1854. This country is blessed in every respect with a fertile soil, a fine climate, an industrious people, a manufacturing population consuming the products of the farmer will go forward. And Canada will become like the mother country, great in manufacturing industries of all kinds, great in agricultural development, for it possesses all the elements to make a great nation. And I believe there is some work left in me yet. And I greatly desire to complete this work of confederation before I make my final bow to the Canadian people, before whom I have been acting my part for so long. So thank you very much for your kindness and confidence that you have always shown. Good afternoon.
Two cheers for Sir John. Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip. Hooray! We ask you to enjoy the rest of your day, and we welcome these wonderfully dressed people from the Hastings Historical Society, and I'm sure they and Sir John and Lady Agnes will want to have a look around. Thank you very much. Turn it back to the Historical Society.
You've said everything I would say to you. Sir John would be happy to meet with you, have photos taken, etc. But I just wanted to come to Sir John's speech was the actual speech of Sir John in the Commons in 1877? 1887. Sorry, I'm confused. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the afternoon, and happy Father's Day, Sir John. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yes, don't be bashful. Come up, Sir John. It doesn't matter whether you're voting for him or not. Love that picture taken with you.
The actual name of the party is the Liberal Conservative Party, if everybody's in the clear.